Good afternoon, Sean here from Mountains Garage. It's a rainy Saturday afternoon. We had a decent stretch of weather the last week, and it looks like the following week is going to be decent too. Mid-January in Maine, you can't complain. So today I was digging through my LS stash of parts, coming up with a potential combo for the 72 Nova, at least to get me started before I build a decent motor. I've been collecting junk for both. I can build pretty much a stock bottom end 6 liter, and then I'm going to have enough parts to build a decent one after I buy a decent set of pistons. If you watched the video about the turbo mock-ups from a couple weeks ago, the 5.3 that's sitting between the frame rails is actually just sitting on the subframe. The motor mounts won't actually line up because it still has a truck pan on it, and I really wanted the engine to come forward a little bit. So I also dug through what mounts I had laying around. I can't find the one I made. I have plenty of flat stock to build more. And then I think today I came across something simpler. We'll see. You can see the motor mounts are close, but this fat front part of the oil pan is hanging me up. I never expected the truck pan to fit, plus it hangs too low anyway. It's pretty close on both sides, but it's not going to work, obviously. And I also wanted about another 1/2 inch forward on the engine, if possible. This aluminum adapter is identical to what's currently in the 72 Nova for mock-up. And this represents my motor mount and where it's currently bolted. My next option to move the engine forward is way back here. That's like 1.25 inch gap. That is going to move the engine too far forward in the car. While searching for the missing mount that I built, I came across this set of metal ones I bought back in 2017. And they use, I can run a regular bolt through there instead of the conical head bolt, still mount the rest of the mount with the conical head bolts, and then bolt the top two with bolts. So it'll be 3 bolts on the mount instead. They're steel instead of aluminum, so I'm not trusting aluminum threads to hold the engine in. And if I was to build a set, if that's what it comes to, mine are going to be steel. So weight savings with that, pretty much null and void. If you search the Holley 302-1, -2, and -3 oil pans, they're for LS swapping. The 302-2 is for a Camaro, or first gen Camaro, third gen Nova with subframe clearance problems. You can see how thin this is. And the 302-3 adds turbo drain fittings. So knowing that, I went to search for one, and lo and behold, because the Holley pan's made in China, is this eBay beauty. It's $100 cheaper. It's identical from everybody that says so. It's a high quality piece, comes with a nice stock looking gasket. Comes with the pickup tube. All the mounting hardware. It was $265, I believe. Comes with the windage windage pan you put in the bottom of the tray, and you have to modify the stock windage tray. You have to cut it off pretty much back by the first set of bolts where it bolts on the main caps, because it's so thin right here it's not going to clear, but not a big deal. So this should solve any oil pan clearance problems I have, including with my rack, because this goes nice and shallow back here. So we're going to mock it up on something and try it. And not only does the included pickup tube use both bolts in the oil pump instead of one like the OEM, they give you both bolts. So you don't have to go looking for one. Can't beat it. And yes, there's a 1/2 inch NPT port on both sides for turbo drain. So if you're running one turbo or two, should go. Saves all that fab work, welding on a bung, stuff like that. So this beauty right here has been under the bench for 5 years. It's a 6 liter block, Gen 3. I'm going to run the dates, but it's about a 03 or 04, I believe. It came just like this. The front cover's missing, no cam, no heads, no pistons and rods. I can't really see anything wrong with the crank or the 8 cylinders. So I think it'll be an excellent foundation to use all the other junk I got laying around. And this will be my junk motor. Sometimes building motors out of junk is really fun and surprising. If you have In this case, I have new bearings. I have gaskets. I don't really have to buy anything to assemble this. So for now, instead of pulling out the 5.3 that's sitting in there and swapping the oil pan and putting it back in, I'm just going to pull that out, put it back on the roll around stand, and I'll mock up the pan and a set of heads on this, just so I can finish with the motor mounts. We'll call that plan A anyway. Plan B, even though I have 3 other motors I need to assemble that are just sitting around here, I could just throw all the stuff in this and it'll be done. And if I did that, I could actually install it for real, put my real Turbo 400 in, kind of work toward making this thing run too, which I'm not in a rush, but I'm tripping over all this junk around here. At least it takes up less space if it's in one spot. So it's no surprise to anyone watching, I'm kind of a hoarder, so when deals come up, I usually grab them. So if I want to build a 4.8, I have a set of floating pistons that will probably clean up, and a set of floating rods that are in good shape. I had bought a new set of floating rods back when the Gen 4 stuff became popular, but hadn't really skyrocketed. They kind of come back down in price now, I think. But I also have a nice set of used ones. I had a set of 7, and I actually had to buy one, and the cost of one was almost what the whole set of 8 was. So let's just say I grabbed this set of used rods. I actually have a pretty decent set of dished 6-liter pistons. The rings are all free and everything's free. They need to be cleaned up, of course. You can buy the flat top version new. They're still hyper-eutectic for like $179, and of course the set of forged ones start around $400, so I have to make that choice. If I bought a set of forged pistons, I'd probably put them on a good set of rods, and I'd be balancing the bottom end. And we'll call that the other 6-liter I'm going to build, because I actually have a nice camshaft package with tie bar lifters, stuff I'm not going to want to put in this one. And I'm not even interested right now in putting the money into building the really nice 6-liter when I can throw this junk one together and just, goof around with it. If I blow it up, great, but, plus I have all this junk laying around. It's not going to do anybody any good. Nobody really wants it, so I might as well assemble it into something useful. Not related to the 6-liter, but this is a set of 5.3 Gen 4 rods floating with the locks. And you can recognize the rod as soon as you look at it, and they have a dimple on them. And by all reports, these bend instead of break, and their horsepower level, they're willing to withstand a high horsepower level, is pretty incredible for a stock part. But have you ever seen what my buddy calls a Gen 3.5? Now, the Gen 3 was a pressed piston rod. This set this is the big set of rods, and they're press fit. So my buddy calls them Gen 3.5, because Gen 3 was pressed and had a weaker rod. Good for 600 or 700 horsepower before they break. They don't bend, they break. This style rod allegedly bends instead. But yeah, big rod, pressed pin. Who knew? So that nasty 6-liter block with that set of 317 heads that I don't remember where I got will be a good mock-up for now. I can't tell you how handy having this mock-up transmission was compared to bolting the real one in every time. I think I had this in and out 9 times in the 71 Nova. When I traded a shifter for this, I'm pretty sure I got the short end of the deal. But I knew that, and it did come in handy, so you can't put a price on that. While placing the engine in the 72 Nova, I've been trying to leave room for this 3-inch monster here. I've also ordered another new shield. I sold the one I had, traded it actually. I had new shields. The TCI one I had, this fit better than this one. I ordered a different brand shield that goes over the body of the transmission. When that shows up, I'll report back on how it fits. All right, thanks for following along this afternoon. Digging through old junk, deciding what to do next. Be sure to tune in Monday for the YouTube anniversary extravaganza, 1 year. It'll just be another day, but I will document it somehow. I'm going to give something away, but I don't know what. We're getting close to the 1,000 subscribers in the first year, which was my goal. And I was hoping for 4,000 watch hours, and I'm not even at 2,000 yet, so that's going to hold me up. It'll be a long time before I ever see a dime, but what I didn't expect through all this, and money wasn't my only motivating factor, documenting some of the stuff I do because I can't remember it all, in detail anyway, and I try to be detailed in the videos, but I've met some wonderful people from all over the country, world even, and some of them become friends, even though I'll probably never meet them in person. We are electronic friends anyway, and if I'm ever in that part of the country, or vice versa, we're probably going to meet up. But anyway, like and subscribe if you can. Doesn't cost a thing. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot.